Hello and welcome to the Midday Update. These are the top headlines from our newsroom today. Movement ban lifted in Oman, rules for commercial activities revised. Tropical storm Tote likely to worsen. Oman's brave COVID warriors on front lines of the pandemic. 4 dead, over 42,000 affected by heavy rains and flooding in Sri Lanka. UN chief calls for unified Security Council over Israeli-Palestinian conflict. US schools should continue to use masks according to CDC. Leicester win first ever FA Cup, West Ham's top 4 chances fade. These were the top headlines from our newsroom today. Let's see how the weather condition looks like in the Sultanate in our weather update.
I'm Antara Bose with your daily dose of weather, and we're at the TFM studio in Al Khair. Now, before we move on to the weather update, here's an interesting fact for the day. Do you know about a phenomenon called fog bow? Fog bows are just like rainbows and are produced when sunlight falls on fog. That was our fact for today. Now let's take a look at the weather update. An alert has been issued by Oman Meteorology and Civil Aviation Authority indicating reduced visibility during blowing dust and fog formation. Apart from that, we've got mainly clear skies over most of the Sultanate with chances of cloud formation over the Al Hajar mountains, which may lead to isolated rain during the afternoon. Apart from that, we've also got the possibility of dust rising winds over the open areas and deserts of Al-Dhahira and Buremi governorates. There's also possibility of late night to early morning low-level clouds over the Arabian Sea and Oman Sea coast. With that, let's take a look at what the weather will be like throughout the Sultanate. Muscat will be sunny with temperatures between 30 degrees Celsius and 38 degrees Celsius. Musandam will be sunny with temperatures between 30 and 39 degrees Celsius. North Al-Batana will be partly cloudy with temperatures between 27 and 34 degrees Celsius, while South Al-Batana will be sunny with temperatures between 31 and 40 degrees Celsius. Al-Buremi will be sunny with temperatures between 30 and 44 degrees Celsius. Al-Dhahira will also be sunny with temperatures between 30 and 44 degrees Celsius. Al-Dakhliya will be partly cloudy with temperatures between 30 and 43 degrees Celsius. North Al-Sharqiya will be partly cloudy with temperatures between 29 and 43 degrees Celsius. And South Al-Sharqiya will be sunny with temperatures between 32 and 40 degrees Celsius. Al-Wusta will be sunny with temperatures between 26 and 45 degrees Celsius. And Dhofar will be sunny with temperatures between 23 and 36 degrees Celsius.
Welcome back to TTV. You're watching Midday Update. Now, before we get into the details of the local stories for the day, let's see how the COVID-19 situation had been like in the last 5 days. The Ministry of Health officials have announced the registration of 45 death cases in the last 5 days in the Sultanate. This has taken the total death toll in Oman to 2,193. The health officials have also extended their deepest condolences to the families of the deceased. In addition to that, the Ministry of Health has also registered 2,788 new coronavirus cases in Oman over the past 5 days. The total cases in the country have now touched 205,501, including 190,342 recoveries and 2,193 deaths. According to the Ministry of Health, in the past 5 days, 3,951 recoveries were also reported. The ministry has urged everyone to adhere to strict social distancing instructions issued by the Supreme Committee and the Ministry of Health. And now from a local desk. People began moving around at night starting from yesterday after the Supreme Committee in the Sultanate eased restrictions to stop the spread of COVID-19. All commercial activities in the country resumed operations at 50% customer capacity. However, customers can only enter their premises until 8 p.m. Shops selling foodstuff are exempt from this rule, while delivery and takeaway services are also allowed. However, gyms, sports clubs, and pitch rental facilities will continue to remain shut until further notice. Now, according to Muscat municipality, businesses that can once again operate include vehicle service shops, barber shops, beauty parlors, and car wash facilities. Children under the age of 12, though, are not allowed to enter commercial establishments. Ablution facilities and toilets in mosques have also been reopened to the public, while restaurants and cafes can also accommodate diners at 50% capacity. In the wake of the new measures, the Royal Oman Police has asked people in the country to continue to follow protocols related to stopping the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic. In fact, they issued a statement stating that within the framework of the ROP implementing the decisions of the Supreme Committee regarding preventing gatherings in public places, it urges the public to cooperate in adhering to this and confirms its follow-up and continuation of its duty to monitor all gatherings in the interest of the public. Bus routes previously suspended by Muwasalat, the national transport company, also resumed from Sunday onwards. The Muscat route, as well as several other intercity bus services, had been suspended from May 9 to May 15th. Employees also returned to the government offices, which will also operate at 50% capacity. Those who are not required to attend work physically, however, must make sure they can continue their tasks remotely. Alongside these announcements, the Supreme Committee voiced its appreciation for the great efforts exerted by medical teams as they battled the pandemic. They said that, in fact, the Supreme Committee said that they are commendable efforts that will yield fruit when all members of society campaign to make this experience as a success, noting that the collective action will immensely diminish the health and social impacts of the pandemic. Developments relating to the pandemic were also reviewed alongside measures to curb the spread of the virus and the epidemiological situation in the country. The Supreme Committee also expressed its delight at the gradual decline in the number of patients admitted to hospital wards and intensive care units in different parts of the country. In fact, this morning, the Supreme Committee to deal with COVID-19 has also urged people to not participate in gatherings, especially weddings and mourning. Now, Oman Meteorology on Sunday announced that the tropical storm known as Tote is most likely to deepen and develop into Category 2 cyclone. A statement issued online by Oman Meteorology said, the tropical storm Tote in the Arabian Sea, which is classified as a Category 1 tropical cyclone, with its continuous movement towards the north and northwest and then to the northeast, is likely to deepen and turn into Category 2 cyclone within the next 24 hours. In fact, according to Oman Civil Aviation Authority, it is expected to move adjoining to Indian coast and further intensify to Tropical Cyclone Category 2 within the next 24 hours. It is also expected to make landfall on the Indian-Pakistani coast on 18th May without any impact on the Sultanate. The determination of doctors, nurses, and other healthcare staff in the Sultanate of Oman who are helping fight the spread of COVID-19 in Oman is difficult to describe, say medical practitioners in the country. The commitment required, whether it is going above and beyond their duty to take care of patients, making the most of telehealth services to help people who are unable to come to hospital, and encourage people to take COVID vaccines to bring about an end to the pandemic, has seen healthcare workers come under great psychological, social, and personal pressure. Whether it is saving a life, making sure a person's condition has not worsened, or the care they require after stabilization, healthcare workers have a great determination to do and give everything that is needed, said Dr. Mia bin Salim Al-Mahramiya, an anesthesiologist and intensive care specialist at the Royal Hospital. She continued saying that working in a COVID-19 department is quite a different experience by all standards because of the difficulty in treating those infected. Every day we need to contact the families of the patients who are here and inform them of their condition and the treatment they are to undergo. I wonder if it is possible for someone to imagine how it is to deal with patients and their families who place hope and belief in us that we will provide them news that reassures them. Sadly, this is not always the case. The reality is often different, she added. While the arrival of the vaccine has reassured many healthcare workers, they have still not abandoned the caution with which they operate in hospitals. Many healthcare workers deployed on the front lines against the pandemic also thanked His Majesty Sultan Haitham bin Tariq for the support his government has provided them, so that workers are not overwhelmed and can focus on caring for those in critical condition. Dr. Lamia bint Hussein Al-Balushi, the Director of Disease Control at the Directorate General of Health Services, Muscat Governorate, asked people to continue to protect themselves from infection by taking the appropriate steps, such as mask wearing, hand hygiene, and social distancing. She also asked people to not sow panic among communities by spreading rumors and false news, and requested them to take the COVID vaccine as soon as they are eligible to do so. And those who wish to receive updates on vaccine availability or guidance over COVID precautions that need to be taken in certain circumstances can call the information service at 1144. This was all from our local desk for today. It's time for us to take a quick commercial break, but stay tuned as we have more updates coming your way from International Desk. It's about time we kicked COVID-19 out of our lives. Join us on TTV Outline every Monday and let us learn how to fight COVID together. Welcome back to TTV. You're watching Midday Update. And now from our international desk. At least 4 people had died and over 42,000 others have been affected by days of strong winds and heavy rains which lashed the country due to the formation of a super cyclone in the Bay of Bengal, Sri Lanka's Disaster Management Center, commonly known as DMC, said in its latest weather report. Now, according to the DMC, the deaths had been a result of severe flooding. Over 200 houses had been fully or partially damaged, while 175 people belonging to 42 affected families were housed in temporary shelters. The National Building Research Organization, known as NBRO, also issued a landslide warning for several districts in the country, including the capital Colombo and the south. The NBRO requested people living in high-risk areas to move to safer grounds. The Army has dispatched rescue teams in several districts affected by the floods and has rescued several people who were trapped by the rising water levels. The Disaster Management Center officials were also deployed in the worst affected districts, setting up facilities to accommodate those displaced by the adverse weather conditions. According to weather reports, the powerful cyclone that formed in the Bay of Bengal is now headed directly for the India-Bangladesh border, bringing with it the potential for major destruction and upheaval. Sri Lanka's Meteorology Department, in its latest weather update, said that more rains were expected over the country in the coming days and urged everyone to be cautious. UN Secretary Chief General, who is commonly known as Antonio Guterres, on Friday called for a unified Security Council over the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and regretted the lack of multilateralism. Asked what the Secretary General expects from Sunday's emergency meeting, which is to be held today, of the Security Council on the ongoing Israeli-Palestinian escalation, Guterres spokesman Stefan said what we would like to see is a strong unified voice for de-escalation, for a cessation of the hostilities, and a push to get the parties back on track to find a political solution to this conflict that has been going on and on and on. As for the Secretary General's comment on the fact that one single Security Council member blocked the proposal for a Friday meeting on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict just days after all Council members pledged support for multilateralism, The council spokesperson said Guterres is concerned about the state of multilateralism, quoting that, as we have seen it during the pandemic and as we have seen it in other aspects, we would like to see member states put to action the ideals that we all have to live up to within this organization, he added. With regard to the Security Council, he said that the more unified the Council is, the stronger its voice and the stronger its impact. The Security Council on May 7th held a high-level debate on the need to uphold multilateralism, and all Council members came out in support of it. Yet days after, the United States, an ally of Israel, blocked the proposal for a Friday Security Council meeting, according to diplomats. The Security Council later agreed on such a meeting on Sunday, which is to be held today. Now, schools in the United States should continue to use masks for the academic year of 2021 to 2022, as all students will not be fully vaccinated, the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, commonly known as CDC, said on Saturday. The CDC, in its latest guidance, said all kindergarten through grade 12 schools should implement and layer prevention strategies and should prioritize universal and correct use of masks and physical distancing. Testing to identify individuals with SARS-CoV-2 infection and vaccination for teachers and staff provide additional layers of COVID-19 protection in schools. The recommendation comes after the agency on Thursday said fully vaccinated people do not need to wear masks outdoors and can avoid wearing them indoors in most places. The CDC said that masks should be worn at all times by all people in school facilities and buses while maintaining a 6-foot distance between teachers and students. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention on Wednesday also announced that people who have been fully vaccinated against COVID-19 no longer need their masks indoors and outdoors. In a guideline on its website, the CDC said that if people are fully vaccinated, they can resume their activities without any further restrictions prior to the pandemic. It said that fully vaccinated people can resume activities without wearing a mask or physically distancing, except where required by federal, state, local, tribal, or territorial laws, rules, and regulations, including local business and workplace guidance. Once again, it's time for us to take a quick commercial break, but stay tuned as we have more updates from a sports desk. It's about time we kicked COVID-19 out of our lives. Join us on TTV Outline every Monday and let us learn how to fight COVID together. Welcome back to TTV, watching Midday Update. And now from a sports desk. Leicester City beat Chelsea by 1-0 on Saturday to win the FA Cup for the first time in the club's history, as over 6,000 of their fans cheered them on from the stands of Wembley Stadium. Yuri Magnificent's 63rd minute strike gave Brendan Rodgers' side the cup in their 5th final appearance, but it was not without its drama or controversy, as goalkeeper Casper made a stunning late save to deny Mason Mount in the 87th minute. A minute later, Ben Chilwell thought he had scored a goal to send the game into extra time, but the VAR ruled his strike out for a marginal offside. If that wasn't enough, the two sides will meet again at Chelsea's Stamford Bridge Stadium on Tuesday night, with a place in next season's Champions League up for grabs. West Ham failed to take advantage of Chelsea's cup duties as they were held to a 1-1 draw away to Bridgton, who had nothing to play for. Their lead lasted just 2 minutes before Said smashed home an equalizer from the edge of the area to save a vital point for the visitors whose chances of a top 4 finish looked to be slipping away. There was nothing at stake as Leeds United won 4-0 away to Burnley with a convincing display against a rival that made too many defensive errors. Southampton enjoyed a comfortable 3-1 victory at home to already relegated Fulham. League champions Manchester City celebrated in style as Ferran Torres scored a hat-trick to give Pep Guardiola's men an entertaining 4-3 win away to Newcastle on Friday night. With this news, we have come to the end of the episode for today, but stay tuned as we'll be back again tomorrow with more updates and latest news your way. Keep watching TTV.
You've just heard the live feed from the TTV studios on TFM 95.4. Let's talk.